Hi, I'm Mark Pack, editor of Liberal Democrat Newswire, and welcome to this, the first in my new series of little videos in which I try to explain various things about the Liberal Democrats and why we do the things that we do and how the party operates. For the first subject, I thought I would pick the topic that was the most lively, I guess, perhaps controversial, interesting, from the similar series of explainer videos I did for the 2017 general election, which is around targeting. And in particular, the importance of targeting in the run up to the May local elections that are coming up in a few months' time. I should perhaps first say that in talking about the relevance of targeting for local council elections, apologies to colleagues in Scotland who, with the STV electoral system, have a situation where the exact logic behind targeting and the basic principles are pretty much the same as I'm going to talk about in this video, but obviously many of the practical details are a little bit different because the way we fight elections under STV is significantly different from the first past the post system that we use across England and Wales, or the supplementary vote system that we use for directly elected mayors. But anyway, for those first past the post contests that we've got coming up in May, targeting is really important. And what I mean by targeting is this idea that the closer we get to polling day, the more important it is to target our efforts, hence the name, on those wards where we think the result is closest and is most up for grabs. Now, that's not a perfect system by any means, because it's not always possible to predict with absolute accuracy which are likely to be the closest seats. But the reason for trying to do it is very simple. Under first past the post, if you lose a ward and get 100 votes, there's not that much difference between that and losing the ward but getting 150 votes. However, if those 50 votes difference somewhere else is maybe the difference between 900 votes and 950 votes, and that's the difference between us winning or losing, then in that marginal seat, those 50 votes have been worth an awful lot more to us as a party, both in the short run and indeed in the long run, than those 50 votes elsewhere. Now, fighting every ward that we can is really important for the party's long-term growth and success. But if you've got a choice, if you could wave a magic wand at 10:01 p.m. At the close of polls on polling day, on the first Thursday in May, and you can magically transfer votes from any ward to any other ward, you can see the obvious logic in saying that, well, let's pile up the votes just where they get us, just over the winning line. An extra 50 votes on a majority that takes us from a majority of, say, 400 to 450, nice, but not so useful. Extra 50 votes that takes us from 50 to 100 votes somewhere in a ward, nice, but not so useful. An extra 50 votes that takes us from losing by 25 to winning by 25, that is worth that little bit extra, because we've not only got those extra 50 votes on our total vote total, but we've also got an extra councillor as a result of it. So that's the logic of targeting, why targeting is so important in these elections. As I said, it's not possible to do it with perfect accuracy, but generally speaking, the party is pretty good at being reasonably accurate at predicting where are likely to be the seats worth targeting. If you look at the efforts that ALDC, the party's Association of Liberal Democrat Councillors and Campaigners, do to try to work out where best to try and target help in local elections, and the work they do with the campaigns and elections team at Federal Party HQ in Great George Street, both for local elections and general election time, the lists of predictions both groups of people make together are pretty good. You can see that at the 2017 general election. Not absolutely perfect, but pretty good. And if you compare, for example, the list of seats the party was targeting and asking people to go and help in with, for example, the lists of other seats that different people mentioned in, for example, the Liberal Democrat Facebook newbies group, brilliant group in many ways. But if you look through the list of seats that some people are mentioning, saying, well, it's outrageous, why is the party not targeting this seat or that seat? And now, with the advantage of having seen the results, you look back, you can see pretty much where the party was trying to target its efforts was not 100% spot on, but an awful lot more accurate, an awful lot better at trying to direct resources in the right places than many of the some of the wider chatter and questions. And in a way, that's not surprising, because, of course, the people making these targeting calls often have access to more information, like internal party polling and canvass data and so on, than maybe some of the people from the semi-outside, other party members asking, well, I wonder why is it this seat or not that seat. So targeting is really important. It's not a absolute perfect science, but the efforts the party makes to try and work out where to target are generally pretty good, and therefore worth paying attention to. Also, crucially, of course, at a very local level, within a local party, within a group of local parties, within the same council area, etc., similar decisions are really important to make, because getting not just as many votes as possible, but as many councillors as possible is a really key element of elections. Because what do we get if we get votes? Nice, help build the party local strength in the longer run. What do we get with councillors? We get so much extra access to information, ability to promote the party, ability to do direct things that benefit the local community, votes in the council chamber, ability to lobby that more effectively, council officers, access to that much more information about what's being done and why. Really, really important. Now, it might be that when your local party is drawing up sort of its targeting plans and works out which are the wards that we think are going to be most beneficial to put extra effort in, that perhaps one of those wards or none of those wards are that near where you live or work. And so this often then becomes a bit of a question about, well, should you go and help a target ward, or is it better to be active where you are? Well, first up, I would say definitely better to do something than nothing. And if, for example, the nearest target ward is really hard and impractical for you to get to, but you live in a ward that's got a Lib Dem candidate maybe for the first time, and you do a little bit to help them, that's definitely a good thing. Even better if you're that Lib Dem candidate standing for the first time. There are, though, it's worth bearing in mind, ways of helping target wards, even if you're not able to physically make it to the target ward yourself. One way of doing that is telephone canvassing. When you pick up your phone, you can dial a phone number that is anywhere in the country, and it's no more or less effort to phone that number if it's somebody 300 miles away that you're ringing as if somebody two houses down in the street where you are. So offering to do some telephone canvassing in target wards is a really useful thing to do. Secondly, online campaigning. Very often, in fact, pretty much there's every local party I would expect around the country would benefit from an extra person offering to help with maybe running a Facebook page or its Twitter account or its crucial online email campaigning or looking after its website. It's a really nice example of something that you can do from anywhere. And if, for example, you're helping with the local party website, well, that also helps us everywhere that we're standing in that local party's area. But of course, the benefits might particularly help tip us over the winning line in a target ward. So nice way of squaring the circle of helping more generally, helping in a way that might be more convenient for you than travelling to a target ward, but still also helping a target ward. And you can also do other things like organising or taking part in fundraising events or socials that may take place in a non-target ward but involve members and helpers and supporters, some of whom are able to go and help in a target ward. And if you're involved in, say, organising a social event that motivates a few people more, and some of them live in a target ward, well, that in turn has helped that target ward. And I think very often the thing to think about is the way that you can square that circle. What's the thing that helps in a target ward, is also convenient for you, and is also something that's fun and motivates you and that you want to do. That may involve going and travelling for a day and helping in a target ward if there isn't one near you. It may involve doing something more directly in your local ward. But I think the key theme that runs through all of that is remembering, firstly, that if we can do something that secures a few extra votes, if those are a few extra votes that gets us over the winning line somewhere, that's worth so much more than a few extra votes that pumps up somebody's majority or means we finish a slightly less distant fourth place somewhere. And also that part of the reason for being in a political party is essentially teamwork. That's what a political party is. It's different people deciding to come together, to work together to achieve the best result for what we all collectively believe in. And sometimes that may mean that the best way of achieving a great result for the team is doing something immediate where you are. But sometimes, of course, teamwork means helping other people elsewhere. And of course, perfectly reasonable to do that in the knowledge that if you help somebody elsewhere, maybe you'll be able to get a return favour from them. And particularly if you're in a target ward, I would say, make sure you thank people who come from elsewhere to help, but think about how you can return that favour later. Maybe some members come and help from a non-target ward in a target ward, and success or failure, the person who is the candidate could perhaps offer to be the guest speaker or to organise a social event in that non-target ward subsequently after polling day. You get some help that may hopefully helps you win and become a councillor, and then you return that favour by doing something in return in a non-target area subsequently. So I hope this has given you a little bit of a flavour about why we target, sensible ways of targeting, how targeting is really all about teamwork, And in particular, I guess I should maybe end on this note that the closer we get to polling day, the more important targeting is. So if you're way out from polling day, putting a bit of effort in building up an area that's not a target ward this time definitely makes sense. But the closer we get to polling day, the greater the value is in targeting our efforts. And then, of course, after polling day, people who have benefited from targeting should remember, just as much as people have gone to help them, that we are all part of one team, and returning the favour and helping in different ways to thank the people who have helped you and give something a little bit back in return is a crucial part of that overall story. So I hope you found this video interesting. If you'd like to see more of these explainer videos as I do them over the next few weeks, if you viewed this video on Facebook, click like on the Lib Dem Newswire Facebook page to have future videos pop up hopefully in your newsfeed. If you viewed this video on YouTube, click subscribe to my YouTube channel, or if you viewed this email on my website, go to the form to subscribe to get email notifications when new stories, including future videos like this, appear on it. And of course, through any of those means, if you've got any feedback on this video or suggestions for what future videos should cover, please do pop up a comment or drop me a direct message. It'd be really great to hear both what you thought about this video and what you'd like to see in future videos. So thanks very much for listening.